The cover page of One Piece Chapter 1109, Termination, features the sunken remains of Onigashima. Dr. Vegapunk's message to the world continued, with Shaka questioning if his creator's choice was a wise one. He argued that even if the broadcast was set to suddenly begin, it still might not work. Stella wasn't sure what the satellite meant. Shaka continued by saying that they'd be relying on people being ready to receive the message. Stella's rebuttal was that agencies would be sure to spread the news across the world in only a day. Shaka pointed to the possibility of their message being censored or intercepted. Understanding his creation's concerns, Stella let him know that he's open to suggestions. Meanwhile, the many Marines surrounding Egghead Island wondered where the broadcast was coming from. They also noticed that it was being transmitted through the transponder snails of all of their ships. When the possibility of hacking communications traffic from the Marines came up, one of the Navy officers immediately told his men to cut it. But for whatever reason, they were unable to. Using this approach gave Vegapunk access to a constant worldwide broadcast with maximum signal strength. Luffy was still in his giant Gear 5 form, holding Saturn like a pet and Kizaru like a doll. Because of this direction, anyone with a transponder snail would be able to receive their initial voice message. But visual transponder snails would take longer to set up, and that time frame would be different for many places. That's when the old man decided that they would wait an hour for the world to prepare. Saint Saturn could only wonder what the treacherous scientist planned on saying. Up above, Chopper wondered where the message was coming from and why it was happening so suddenly. Shaka immediately dismissed the 1 hour time frame for being way too long. After all, this was to be a desperate relay of information. Marines tried to fight against the invading giants, but it wasn't looking good. Shaka was sure that there would be those who disapproved of their message and would seek to stop it before they finished. Respecting his logic, Stella decided to change the time frame. They would wait 10 minutes before revealing the truth about their world. Vegapunk just hit us with an unskippable 10-minute ad. Meanwhile, Sanji realized that this was Vegapunk's voice he was hearing. He kept trying to get the man to wake up, but to no avail. Just then, Saint Saturn could feel the beginning of a mental link, one spanning countless miles and coming from the Holy Land of Mary Joa. The other elders questioned if Saturn was able to remove Dr. Vegapunk. Saturn admitted that he saw Kizaru land a killing blow. With that, the doctor should be dead. They wondered if he may have pre-programmed the message to trigger once his main body perished. This was the assumption they would have to run with, but they still had to wonder what the genius would say. Top Man stressed the importance of figuring out where the broadcast was coming from. Shepard believed that the Labostratum was the most likely location. However, it is still being protected by Vegapunk's pesky barrier. As the video played, the Vegapunks wondered how they would spend the next 9.5 minutes of waiting. The possibility of inventing was proposed, along with the brewing of some coffee. From there, we make our way to Dressrosa. Civilians all throughout the country were stressing the importance of this message. If the world's favorite scientist was trying to tell them something, it had to be important. They swiftly began making preparations for the visual side of the broadcast. But I guess the locals always have time for a bit of dancing. Everyone was sweating from the rush, but they were able to get the video going before long. Leo wondered what was going on with the smart guy Luffy kidnapped. Rebecca wasn't too happy to see that her friends fell for some more fake news. At this point in the video, Vegapunk decides to figure out the likelihood of their message being messed with. Next, we would have Luffy's home of Fuchsia Village. Yet again, there was someone wondering what was going on. He expected it to just be more slander on Luffy's name. But unfortunately, this humble little village does not have visual Den Mushi. The mayor made it clear that they cannot afford that sort of thing. After that was Water 7. Iceberg was quickly woken up, and he already knew that it was not a good thing. He told his secretary Alice to set up the screening. With a mouse on her head, the young assistant told her boss that it was already playing in the next room. They were even preparing screens for every dock. Even though it was nighttime for them, this message was too important for them to miss. All of Water 7's citizens have been told to make their way to a screen within the 10-minute time frame. Wow, this girl is really good at her job. Over at the World Economic Journal, Morgans was losing his mind. He recognized that despite going through marine frequencies, Vegapunk's message was unencrypted. Vivi really wanted to know where Luffy and the other Straw Hats were. Morgans let her know that based on the clock in the background presenting an incorrect time, this message must have been recorded in advance. That being said, he was pretty sure the Buster Call would have totally destroyed the island by now. And I am really looking forward to him learning how things are actually going. Also, Wapol has seen better days. Side note, Oda recently confirmed that Morgans is not a mink. He He's just a human man that ate the bird fruit, model albatross. In the West Blue, some people were surprised by Dr. Vegapunk's appearance, especially the whole cut apple thing. In the North Blue, they braved the cold to listen to the man who illuminated their world. In the South Blue, they wondered what could be important enough for Vegapunk to address them like this. The best they could come up with was some sort of revolutionary invention or something like that. In the Kamabaka Queendom, the Revolutionary Army was watching too. In the video, it was said that brewing the coffee would take them 10 minutes, so it's not like Stella would be able to properly enjoy it. However, they were able to figure out that the chances of the broadcast being messed up were very low. Eva was eager to know what Vegapunk was up to, along with what was up with his head, figuratively and literally. Side note again, Oda decided to give us a look at what Eva's dragon form would look like if he managed to eat Kaido's devil fruit as a kid. It is not pretty. Koala was surprised to finally see the world's foremost genius. Morley admired the man for his ability to do such a thing at such a dire time. Sabo kept his thoughts to himself. Monkey D. Dragon was watching closely too. He thought about Shaka expecting his own demise. Then finally, we returned to Egghead Island. Luffy was all fired up as he mentioned how his punches aren't enough to really hurt the Elder. Kizaru and Saturn simultaneously unleashed their ocular attacks. Saturn also raised a venomous leg as Luffy dodged them. But the Yonko's grip did not loosen for a second. He refused to let either of them go, at least not until he knew for sure that his friends were able to get away. Reeling back, Luffy called out another booming dawn attack. His two victims rushed forward in the palms of his hands. Then, Luffy clapped them both. The force behind this move was insane. When Luffy let them go, the two powerhouses were as flat as pancakes. This is why Luffy is the last person I would want to fight. Even if you're stronger than him, the levels of disrespect exhibited by this man's moveset is absurd. Luffy then proceeded to twirl them around on his fingers like pizza dough. Kizaru went from McDonald's memes to now being named Pizaru. I mean, he did seem to enjoy eating this stuff during Kuma's flashback. Since he was having trouble finishing them off, Luffy decided to just throw them both away. Do you see what I mean by disrespect? Luffy just restrained, clapped, and tossed two of the most dangerous men alive with a smile on his face. A Marine with binoculars was able to catch a glimpse of this nonsense. And this guy is super bold for that, considering what Saturn promised to do to anyone who looked at him without permission. Kizaru was thrown into a Navy ship, which caused a huge explosion. Luffy was laughing away at this, but suddenly, Pancake Saturn turned into a returning frisbee. Then he became a venomous buzzsaw headed right for Luffy. And our boy was really frustrated at this point. He wondered what he would need to do to keep Saturn down for good. The nearby Marines wondered what happened to the Admiral. However, he remained unresponsive as he covered his eyes. In a way, by cauterizing his wound, Kizaru just saved Vegapunk's life in exchange for his own. While he attacked and evading Luffy, Saturn heard from his fellow Gorosei. They were running out of time and could not allow Vegapunk's message to be received. At the same time, the giant warrior pirate crew had made it back to their ship with Bonnie, Frankie, and Atlas. Saturn then spoke aloud for the first time since entering this new form. He planned to commence the summoning. In the next instant, black lightning struck the island 4 times in rapid succession. The surrounding Marines were in total disbelief. 4 summoning circles appeared close to Saint Saturn. Luffy's eyes jumped out of their sockets as he wondered what the heck was going on. Sanji was still running with Dr. Vegapunk in his arms before looking back in horror. This was just like when Saint Saturn made his arrival. The planets are aligning. The 5 elders are here. Luffy is about to be in a 1-on-5 fight against the world's ancient rulers. This clearly was not factored into Vegapunk's probability checks. The Egghead incident is way crazier than any of us could have possibly imagined. But leave us your predictions for what comes next in the comments. As always, I'm Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.